Thank you for taking a few minutes out of your day to listen to my explanation on the ballot. My name is Jim Letterie. I'm the Town Council President, and I wanted to take a few minutes just to describe the ballot and talk a little bit about the questions on the back of the ballot. This year's ballot will be front and back side. So there is your front side and there is your back side. The front side of the ballot will have all the candidates and their positions, along with the question on the fire station. The back of the ballot will consist of 4 questions that came out of the Ordinance Review Committee. The Ordinance Review Committee was established by myself, the Council President, where they take a look at the charter as written 18 years ago, and to take a look at it if there needs to be any tweaks, adjustments, changes, alterations, or whatever they suggest. They take a 6-month process to go through every chapter and verse in the charter, and along with the ordinances of the town. They come back to the council with their recommendations. This year they came back with almost a dozen recommendations. Those recommendations are then sent to our policy subcommittee, where they take a look at the recommendations made by the Ordinance Review Committee. After coming out of committee, the council as a whole will take a look at the whole packet and vote on the recommendations. How the council votes on those recommendations will be the questions and the changes that will be placed on the ballot. So this year, out of the 10 or 12 or so recommendations that came out of the Ordinance Review Committee, the majority of the council agreed on 4 questions that they thought worthy enough to go to the voters. The other 8 or so questions are just off consideration as of now. So I just wanted to go over and take a few minutes to go over the 4 questions that are on the ballot. The first question deals with the abandonment clause. The charter, when written back in 2005, had an abandonment clause stating that if a councilor failed to make 50% of the meetings over a 12-month period, that council will be considered to abandoning their position. We thought, or the Ordinance Review Committee thought, that that was much too lax. So their recommendation was to change that from 50% of the meetings over a 12-month period to 50% of the meetings over a 3-month period. So in this situation, if a councilor, in a 3-month period, the council meets 6 times. So if a councilor was to failed to make 3 of those meetings, they would have been considered to abandoning their position. Now, obviously, there could be extenuating circumstances due to health and related conditions, but just on a typical 3-month period, if a councilor fails to make 50% of the meetings, that position is considered abandoned. So a yes vote on question 1 would be to change the abandonment clause from 50% of the meetings over a 12-month period to 50% of the meetings over a 3-month period. A no vote would keep the abandonment clause as is. So a councilor basically could miss 50% of the meetings, could miss January, February, March, April, May, and June's meetings and still be considered a councilor in good standing. So that's what a no vote would do. The second question recalls or enacts a recall provision. The original charter did not have a recall provision and still does not to this day. The Ordinance Review Committee, along with the council, agreed that we should adopt some sort of recall provision, that the citizens would have the opportunity through a citizen initiative and a citizen petition to come to the council to petition that a councilor be removed from their position. Obviously, it would have to be an egregious event, and there would be a substantial number of signatures that the citizens would have to get, but it would allow for such a provision. So a yes vote would enact a recall provision in the town charter. A no vote would keep a recall provision out of the charter. Question number 3 is the charter versus the town council rules. So the charter was established again back in 2005, and it was established by the Charter Commission, but it was not put into law until the citizens voted on it. So the charter was placed in the town of Winthrop because of the citizens' vote. The town council rules is made up by the town council. So in this situation, if there is a discrepancy between a town council rule and the charter, this question would enable the charter to prevail. For example, if the charter states that the town council should meet the first and third Tuesday of each month, and the council rules states that the council should meet once a month, the charter would prevail. So this enables the charter, which was voted on by the citizens, to have precedent over the town council rules. So a yes vote would do that. A yes vote would enable the charter to have precedent over the town council rules. A no vote would not have that. The last question concerns the budget and is more of a housekeeping issue. When the charter was established, again back in 2005, it read that the council has to approve a budget within 45 days of receiving it. Now, on the surface, it seems pretty reasonable, but the council wants to vote on a budget usually the second week in June. It wants to get as close as it can to the start of the fiscal year, which would be July 1st, because that would enable us to get all the information we can receive in terms of Chapter 70 money, in terms of state aid, and in terms of other aid that might be coming in or appropriations. That gives us the chance to have a more fluid and transparent budget. If we have to vote on it 45 days after receiving it, and we want to vote on it in the middle of June, that means we can't physically receive the budget until May 1st. That doesn't give enough time for us to have the meetings that we need to have the Citizens Finance Committee have the meetings they need to have, to meet with all the department heads, to meet with the school department, to meet with the library trustees, the senior center. We want to have more fluidity and more transparency in the budget process. So this question would change that 45-day requirement, and it's more of a verbiage thing, and it would change it to 15 days, not more than 15 days prior to the start of the fiscal year, or actually not less than 15 days. So this gives us the opportunity to vote on a budget no later than June 15th. However, it does not tell us when we can receive the budget. So a yes vote would enable us to receive the budget in February or March, and it would give us ample time to take a look at each department, to have more citizen involvement, to have the Citizens Finance Committee get more involved and have even more meetings than they do already, and to get the council the budget back from the Citizens Finance Committee in a timely fashion, enabling the councilors to get more involved in the budget process. So this is more of a housekeeping issue, but again, a yes vote would change how we are to approve the budget. Instead of being 45 days from receiving it, it will be no less than 15 days prior to the start of the calendar year, or the fiscal year, July 1st in this situation. Again, I hope I didn't confuse you more than I educated you, but if there are any questions you have on these 4 questions, please feel free to reach out. I am available every day, as well as most counselors, and you could always call the town clerk's office and get more information. Again, I encourage you to vote November 7th, 2023. Again, the voting locations. Precinct 4 will stay at Golden Drive. Precincts 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 will vote at the middle school auditorium, the old middle school auditorium. Polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, and have a nice day.